Welcome to a meeting of your Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners. Representing District 1, Harry Cohen. Representing District 2, Ken Hagan. Representing District 3, Gwen Myers. Representing District 4, Christine Miller. Representing District 5, Donna Cameron Cepeda. Representing District 6, Chris Bowles. Representing District 7, Joshua Wostel. The County Administrator is Bonnie Wise.
The County Attorney is Julia Mandel.
Time is set aside at the beginning of each meeting for citizens to speak on any issue. So we have time for everyone. Speakers are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes. Today's meeting is brought to you with closed captioning by Hillsborough Television.
Good morning and welcome to the February 4th, 2026 regularly scheduled board meeting of the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners. Would everyone please rise for the pledge and invocation given by our chaplain, Commissioner Gwen Myers.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, I come to you thanking you for another day. Thank you for the agenda that you have placed before us that we will take action on today. As we celebrate Black History Month, Heart Month, Cancer Month, I ask that you would go with all of us as we celebrate these various activities. Lord, bless our first responders, bless our staff, bless our administration, and bless this board, that we will continue to do your will. In your holy name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Myers. This morning we have one special accommodation to be given, and it'll be presented by Commissioner Cameron Cepeda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, everyone. Good morning. And I would like to ask Mr. Mike Odell and R.J. Vaughn to please join me at the podium. Good morning. God bless you. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks. Good morning, everyone. So, speaking as an Army veteran myself, it's an honor to recognize this amazing organization. Hillsborough County Veterans Helping Veterans Incorporated is a 501c3 nonprofit who is dedicated to passionately advocating for the hungry, needy, and underrepresented members of our veteran community. To fulfill its mission, the organization is driven by an all-volunteer board of directors and staff, and it depends on one-time and scheduled donations from individuals, businesses, and groups alike. And I'm so excited to present this commendation to Veterans Helping Veterans. Very excited. And the commendation reads, the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners is pleased to applaud Hillsborough County Veterans Helping Veterans for its unwavering commitment to serving veterans in need and their families. Founded more than 10 years ago by U.S. Navy veteran Mike Odell, Hillsborough County Veterans Helping Veterans has been instrumental in providing timely, temporary, and emergency assistance when no other resources are available, while additionally working to bridge the gap with federal, state, and county veteran programs. The nonprofit organization is managed and operated entirely by veteran volunteers whose donated time and service enables the organization to return 96% of every dollar received directly to benefiting veterans, in addition to raising critical funding through an annual golf tournament and city, county, and corporate grants. Veterans Helping Veterans assisted 179 veterans and their families and expended $95,205 in direct aid in 2025, marking a record year of service and impact. In recognition of its outstanding service, the organization has been awarded a Hometown Hero Award from the Tampa Bay Lightning, further illustrating the positive impacts it has made in Hillsborough County. The Board of County Commissioners of Hillsborough County, Florida, does hereby commend Hillsborough County Veterans Helping Veterans Incorporated for its exemplary dedication to improving the lives of veterans and their families, and expresses sincere appreciation for its continued contributions to the community, executed this 4th day of February, 2026. Thank you and congratulations. Thank you so much for all that you're doing for our veterans and our community. Thank you. And thank you. Thank you. And would you like to say a few words, please? Oh, this one.
Take a picture to make it look in the way. Good. Okay.
Thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you to all of our commissioners and those that support our veterans in the community. I can't thank you enough. We are very busy with what we do to help those in need. Unfortunately, it seems that our goal keeps growing and growing and growing, and so does the need for those that need our assistance. RJ is our treasurer, who has the job of not only have to keep records of all of the incoming monies and what's going out, but he mans the phone most of the time, dealing with all of our veterans. And if any of you have dealt with some of our veterans that struggle, you know what a deed that can be. So I would like RJ to give you a little bit of our information. Thank you.
Just a brief summary. I started keeping track in 2020. We helped 34 veterans. Next year, 55, 62, 98, 134, and now this last year. Wow. Housing, 50% of what we've donated to help veterans went to housing. Hotels, rent, mortgage, so they don't get evicted. We had some single moms with 3 kids and 2 kids that were living in their car, and the cold weather was really hitting them hard, so we put them in a hotel for a week. Utilities, 40% of the money went to utilities, electricity and water. A lot of it was shut off already, so we have to pay at least 50% of the bill in order to get it turned back on. One veteran, his bill was $1,300. We couldn't afford to pay his whole thing. We helped him, and he was able to get additional funding to get, because he had 2 teenage kids in his house. So that was good to get it back on. One guy went 2 weeks without any electricity, and he was so happy to find that we were able to help him get it back on. Homeless people, we've bought plane tickets so they could go back home to family, so they can be taken care of. Bus tickets also, so they can get to where their family is. We've fixed cars so people can get to work, and we've given them a gas card, money for a gas card so they can get to work and keep working and stay in where they're at and working. We track all these people, what we helped with, when, how much, so that we don't like to get repeat every few months. We let them know. We've had very few second-timers, and that's extraordinary cases, but that's, for 178 people, that's astounding that they only needed one-time assistance. Thank you.
We are very good stewards of the monies that gets donated to this organization, and RJ cracks the whip on all of us to make sure that we do what we're supposed to be doing. So, one more thing, we have our 10th anniversary coins that we did for our 10th year golf tournament that we do every year for raising monies, and we would like to present those to each of you that are here on the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we're going to take a photo. Awesome. We'll take a photo. And yeah, anyone you want to join?
Yeah, we're going to do a picture and then we're going to.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Cameron Cepeda. Bonnie, you want to review the changes to the agenda?
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. We have one revision or correction to the agenda. It is a time change for item E1. It is now at 10:15 to receive a special appearance by Santiago Guerrera, President and CEO, visit Tampa Bay to present their activity report for 2025. We have two items for time certain. Item F3 at 10 o'clock by Commissioner Hagan, an update on the Tampa Bay Rays ballpark discussions. And as I mentioned, item E1 at 10:15, receive a special appearance by Santiago Guerrera, President and CEO, visit Tampa Bay to present their activity report for 2025. 11:45 is a recess for lunch. Those are the changes to the agenda.
Can we motion to approve the changes? Motion, Commissioner Woelstel, second Commissioner Myers. Please record your vote and changes to the agenda.
Motion carried 7-0.
Okay, we're going to the public comment portion of the agenda. The board welcomes comments from citizens on any issue or concern. However, as requested, at the same time when you address the board, comments are not made personally toward commissioners or staff, but rather the issues. We've set aside 45 minutes for public comment this morning. When you come forward, please state your name and speak clearly into the microphone. First three speakers this morning, Denise Herndon, followed by Gary Hartfield, and then William Bredbender. Is Ms. Herndon here? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Denise Herndon. 40 years ago, I was coming out of a class for respiratory and saw the Challenger crack up. But in that class, the instructors were saying, document, document, document.
You're unmuted.
Because people will do things to you to get you in trouble, even endanger patients. Well, now we have computers. And when I worked at Brandon Hospital last, I would see opposite things. They had already had a data breach. So here now, I'm here. What are you going to do with these grants? I hope, and I believe there should be a law for all nonprofits to fund their nonprofit the way this one just did, where the majority of it goes to the actual cause. He mentioned 90% just in housing and with food and electric. You don't see that. Even the majority of the VA places out there don't. The CEOs get all these $600,000, $900,000 for VAs. But what are you guys going to do with this FDLE money? Does it really go? There's nothing wrong with making a mistake. What's wrong is if you're not given the chance to build yourself back up. Just look around and see what's going on in our society. We all are important, but some people believe anybody is important. The immigrants, illegal immigrants that are coming to our country are more important than our veterans. There should be no veteran that is homeless. I understand a lot of them have some issues psychologically and stuff, but just pushing a drug isn't the answer. Something needs to be done. And our country was founded, but here we're celebrating Black History Month, Black this, Black that, and what would people have done if the slaves who your ancestors fought and really suffered, what would you guys be doing right now in the country that you came from? We have so many liberties, and it's only us individuals that allow somebody to keep us down. Shirley and Hammond has really tried, my neighbors have tried, and thank God Brenda Walker and Jean Munger said, I'm going to jail, I'm going to jail. I hadn't done anything to go to jail, but I was working and someone was going in my locker. I quit when the manager said that.
Thank you, Ms. Herndon.
Thank you.
Appreciate the comments. Gary Hartfield, followed by William Breadbenter, and then Tom Colbert. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. My name is Gary Hartfield. I had initially signed up to speak to the discussion regarding the possibility of the stadium being brought here to Tampa Bay. However, given that the discussion is still in its formative stages, I will withdraw my commentary until a later time. But thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you being here. William Breadbenter. Mr. Breadbenter here? No? Okay. Followed by Tom Colbert. Mr. Colbert. And then Christopher Peterson, and then Christopher Nard. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, staff, and deputies. My name is Tom Colbert. It has been said that when fascism comes to America, it will carry a cross and be wrapped in a flag. The cross is Christian nationalism, which preaches hate and does not follow the teachings of Jesus. Fascists claim that only they can save America from the people that want to destroy it. They utilize a tactic known as projection. Accuse others of what you are doing. Congress could stop this, but the members seem to have misplaced their spines. The Supreme Court is too busy being corrupted by the wealthy to do anything. Others have convinced the president he can succeed in becoming a dictator by terrorizing the American people into submission, therefore ICE. The president is finding out that the American people have spines of steel and will fight for their rights and freedoms. I learned in the early 90s that I can make a difference as a community activist. Government has the responsibility to serve all the people. That cannot be done by taking away affordable housing programs. America is the richest nation in the world, but we have a rapidly growing homeless population, many of them veterans, which is shameful. This is because all of America's wealth is being given to billionaires. You will not serve the people by taking away health care, not when there is a growing need for it. With the insanity that is taking place in health and human services at the federal level, we will soon face the growing threat of pandemics that will easily get out of control because of incompetence at the federal level. For those that doubt this, measles was declared eradicated in 2000. It has come roaring back and children are dying. Moderna had a grant of $750 million to develop a vaccine for bird flu. JFK Jr. revoked the funding. Bird flu caused a pandemic in the early 1900s that was known as the Spanish flu, which was devastating worldwide. Taking public transportation away from people will drive many into poverty. If people can't get to their job, they can't work. That would be a reality for many. People who are unemployed because of government action or inaction or an unnecessary burden on social services and have little to spend in the local economy, therefore not contributing to the tax base. Again, you are here to serve the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Colbert. Christopher Peterson, followed by Christopher Nard, and then Thomas Fletcher. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Chair, Commissioners. Chris Peterson for Fortify Financial. We are PACE providers under the FPFA. First of all, I want to thank the board for readopting PACE. I think PACE in a post-SB 770 world is working very well, and thank you to Eric Olson and his team for managing the program very efficiently. I'm here today to talk about a specific issue, which is the tax collectors and the counties that have pushed back on the FPFA's court ruling from October of 2022. That court ruling allowed FPFA to operate statewide. Many of the counties and tax collectors pushed back on this ruling and reached out to us and said, please stop doing business without an agreement with the county. So we did. We stopped. We only did about 130 assessments or so in Hillsborough County. Then we went and fought. We added this home rule language to SB 770 along with the consumer protections, fought for that in Tallahassee, and ultimately got that passed. However, during that time, the counties and the tax collectors asked for a rehearing, and that lower court ruling was upheld. Then they asked for an appeal. That was upheld. Then they asked for this to the Florida Supreme Court. Florida Supreme Court on December 17th, 2025, upheld the lower court ruling, which specifically states that those assessments need to be collected by the tax collector as part of the ministerial duty. That's in the ruling. It's very clear. I'm happy to send that around. However, there are several tax collectors that have decided to put these on the tax roll and move on, which is what we wanted, and others that are pushing back and continue to push back. And not liking that ruling is really no reason to spend taxpayer dollars and staff time and resources. It's not going to change it. And so it's just a matter of time. My colleague, Chris Nard, is going to get into the effects that this is having on Hillsborough County property owners and who those have voluntarily used the PACE program a little bit more. But that's what I wanted to say today. And again, we stand ready for questions and to have a further discussion about this. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Christopher Nard, and followed by Thomas Fletcher and Sergit Doss. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Chris Nard. I'm the CEO of Fortify Financial, and I just wanted to take a second and elaborate on some of my associates' comments. This dispute over putting him on the tax roll has gone on for almost 3 years now. It's cost millions of dollars in legal fees. There's been huge amounts of disruption. I don't know if it's about more than this, but it seems to be about a dispute on putting the assessments on the tax roll. Fortify's done about 138 transactions in Hillsborough during that period, and we're only one writer. So there's probably about 2 times that. And each time the county, the tax collector, refused to put the payments on the tax roll, these people fall further behind. So they have valid liens on their property, and we bill them once a year, even though it's on the tax bill, not on the tax bill. Now, about half of these people pay and half don't. So the ones that don't pay, I can only think they don't pay because they think they don't owe it because it's not on the tax bill. But again, it's a valid lien on the property. And what's going to happen is when they go to refi or sell the home, they're going to have to clear that lien. And they're going to be very surprised, very unhappy. And if there's not a lot of equity in the property, these people may not be able to enact that transaction. It'll be really unfortunate. We would really like to move on from this. I mean, one thing the continual challenge to this has done and the continual challenge to the judicial validation process has done is it's taken capital out of the state of Florida. I mean, Fortify alone was financing hundreds of millions of dollars of these things in Florida, and we've stopped since this disruption. If people can't rely on judicial bond validations, which all municipal financing is subjected to, there will be less liquidity in the market. Less liquidity drives rates up. We always hear rates are too high. Well, as you take capital out of a business, rates naturally go up. We'd love to move on. We'd like to work with the county. The county staff that does this after PACE has been reinitiated in Hillsborough have been great. We'd like to work with folks to get these on the tax roll before homeowners who have borrowed fall another year behind and get into a hole that they can't get out of. So we're here to do whatever we can to work with you, work with county staff, to get these on the tax roll and stop fighting this in Tallahassee and spending, for all of us, millions of dollars on legal fees. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. And Bonnie, if you can just have our folks take a look at that and make sure that we're doing everything we can. All right, next three speakers, Thomas Fletcher, followed by Surgrit Doss, and then Quentin Robinson. Good morning, Ms. Fletcher.
Good morning, Commissioners. First thing I want to do is offer my appreciation to Commissioner Cepeda for bringing forth this Veterans Helping Veterans group out here. You have no idea how much we appreciate the veterans community, and we appreciates these kinds of efforts on the part of the commissioners to recognize organizations that put out a lot of effort for their brothers and sisters. It's a good thing to have the support from these commissioners, and over the years that I've been involved, I've been over here many times, and most of the time it's always to say thanks and show appreciation. But you've already all of you already heard a lot of good stuff about Mike and his crew and Veterans Helping Veterans, but a couple of things that you don't know that hasn't been mentioned is back about 15 years ago, I heard about what Mike decided. We had some extra stuff, so we put it in a truck and went over there and met Mike and his buddy and stuff, and unloaded his stuff. And I said, "Oh my God, what is he trying to do, for Pete's sake? He's gone nuts. This is just not going to work." Well, you know, push comes to shove. Fast forward a few years, and it grew into something that this community is very appreciative of and very thankful to have. And once again, I'd like to give my nod, the head, to you folks for all you do for the community and for everybody, especially the veteran community.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Surgrit Doss? No? Last two speakers, Quentin Robinson, then Charles Hearns. I think Mr. Robinson might be virtual. Is he on the line?
Mr. Robinson is not checked in.
Okay. Charles Hearns? Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, County Administrator, and to all of those who are here gathered. Happy Black History Month. As I'm sure you know, February each year is celebrated as Black History Month. It started out 100 years ago in 1926 when Dr. Carter G. Woodson decided that initially there should be a week every year, and he chose the second week of February, where the accomplishments and the potential of Black people should be recognized and honored. Fast forward to 1976, President Gerald Ford proclaimed the entire month of February Black History Month. My name is Fred Hearns. I think most of you may know me by Fred. It's my middle name. And we're celebrating at the Tampa Bay History Center our 5th annual Black History Month reception. I did provide flyers this morning for the commissioners and for our county administrator. It's going to be on Friday, February 27th, 5 p.m., doors open. And we have a new location this year, 1213 North Central Avenue, in a historic building. It's over 100 years old, the former St. James Episcopal Church. And that, in the middle of next year, will open as Tampa's very first Black History Museum. The building is owned by the Tampa Housing Authority. They are an unbelievable partner with the Tampa Bay History Center in bringing this museum to fruition and as a reality next year. I want to also commend the County Commission for supporting the African American Arts and Cultural Center. We're looking forward to that also in this community. And Tampa's Black History Museum, actually for the last 2 years, we've been having programming there, building up support and an audience for the museum once it opens. We have several activities planned for this month. All of this information is on our website, tampabayhistorycenter.org. Again, I'd like to commend the Tampa Housing Authority. Everything we've needed, they have provided. And this is going to be an amazing facility once it opens next summer. As I mentioned, this is the 5th Annual Black History Month reception. We're going to be honoring the Florida Sentinel Bulletin newspaper this year with the Dr. Bernard Lafayette Sankofa Award for keeping Black history alive. We're going to be awarding $1,000 to a local public high school for its involvement with the Thurgood Marshall History Club, and so many other things to look forward to. Friday, February 27th, Tampa Bay History Center, Tampa's Black History
Thank you, Mr.
Museum.
Hearns. Appreciate your comments. Okay, that closes public comment. Can we have a motion to approve the consent?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve the consent by Commissioner Meyer, second Commissioner Wostel. Please record your vote.
Motion carried, 7-0.
Okay. Bonnie, you want to introduce the first item?
Yes, we have some time before our time certain items, so we can move to the regular agenda. The first two items are related, item B1 and B2. They are both related to funding of the Timberlake Trust, which is for the Moseley Homestead site, which is a designated landmark. John Mueller will take us through these two items, B1 and B2.
Good morning, John.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. John Mueller, Director of Facilities Management and Real Estate Services, and as Bonnie said, I'm presenting both agenda items B1 and B2, which are related. At the December 17th board meeting, we presented a staff report on Timberlake Trust and the funding the county had apportioned for the Moseley Homestead in Brandon for preservation work, and also the funding the county had apportioned for capital construction of a welcome center on the homestead. Today, we are asking consideration of two items just for preservation work. I will speak to capital again at the conclusion. As you see on the screen, first item B1 would provide just under $250,000 of funds that would support a similar grant that Timberlake Trust has received from the state. Combined, this allows for just under $500,000 of work that focuses on replacement and preservation of windows, walls, and other items throughout the existing structure. The second item, B2, is an additional $25K that was recently placed in this year's budget, and is focused primarily on site fencing repairs and also for HVAC for the storage building, which historically has been called the Scrapped. I would like to reiterate that the two items presented today are preservation of existing assets. With regards to capital improvements on the site, and as was requested at the December 17th meeting, the trust is to provide staff with a separate proposal on capital renovations and improvements with a focus on supporting public visitation, alignment with the restrictive covenants, and financial planning for any improvements and ongoing costs. We'll evaluate those plans for feasibility, and we are scheduled to report back at the April 1st BOCC meeting. Members of the trust are here today to show their appreciation of your consideration of these items. We're available for any questions.
Thanks, John. Appreciate the presentation. Do you have any questions or comments? Commissioner Wilson?
Thanks. I just wanted to stay consistent as I've been on these nonprofits that we're moving in a direction that does not create a new permanent burden on the bottom line of the taxpayers of Hillsborough. And I know that that's in here, and that is not the direction we're moving in with this item, correct? This work for preservation will be focused on the repairs and to get it back up to shape. In terms of the ongoing impact, at the next report, we're asking for a financial analysis from them to show, again, our goal, I think, here is aligned with yours, Commissioners. We're not looking to add to ongoing support. Okay. Thank you very much. I'll move for approval.
Okay, we got a motion to approve. Commissioner Wilson, second Commissioner Myers. Don't see anyone else in the queue. Please record your vote on B1.
Motion carried, 7-0.
Move B2.
Okay,
second.
Motion to approve B2 by Commissioner Cohen, second Commissioner Wostel. Please record your vote.
Motion carried, 7-0.
Thanks, John. Okay, Bonnie.
Thank you. The next item is Commissioner Cameron Cepeda's item F1. This is to amend the federal legislative agenda.
Commissioner Cameron Cepeda.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to adopt an amendment to the 2025-27 Hillsborough County Federal Legislative Agenda by adding the following item: oppose federal preemption of local authority that would limit the ability of counties to play a role in telecommunications infrastructure decisions, including the American Broadband Deployment Act of 2025. Cost associated with the implementation of this amendment to the 2025-27 Hillsborough County Federal Legislative Agenda are included in the Government Relations Strategic Services Department of FY26 adopted budget. And also, I would just like to add also that, we have the National Association of Counties that are also opposed this. We have the National League of Cities oppose it. U.S. Conference of Mayors oppose it. Telecommunications officers and advisors oppose it. Maha Action oppose it. American Public Power Association oppose it. I mean, there's so many things in here, what the bill does and what it does not do. The bill does eliminate states' rights to preempt all local control over the placement of wireless facilities. It forces local governments to rubber stamp virtually all wireless facilities. If they don't rubber stamp, the facilities would be built without a permit. There's so many things I could go on and on about it, and one of the reasons why I believe we should oppose it, several reasons why, there's so many really, but they will harm, injure, and disable millions of Americans who will be involuntarily irradiated, and also it removes the possibility of informed consent, and there's just so many other reasons, but it's, I really believe that we need to oppose this and have this put on the agenda, added.
Okay, Commissioner Worstel?
I'll second it, and my reason to object to this is that the state has been trying to put forward a bill that would put a financial burden on the county for moving these lines if it's in like a certain amount of time under one of our roads. So we're going to have the federal government preempting us on this stuff going in, and then we have the state government putting financial accountability on us if, let's say, I think the state law is that if we decide to widen a road within a certain amount of time or something, they're saying that we have to pay to move these utility lines for an unknown amount of money, and it's really expensive. So I want to support this for that reason. So thank you, Chair.
All right, so Commissioner Cameron Cepeda, you're making the motion to adopt the amendment in opposition?
Yes.
Okay, motion Commissioner Cameron Cepeda, second Commissioner Worstel. Please record your vote.
Yes.
Commissioner, thank you. Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. The next item is item F2. Commissioner Hagan, this is your item regarding a discussion regarding expanding the swim and drowning program.
All right, thank you. Board members, I've been on this board a long time and championed many issues and projects, but I think the one that I'm most proud to be responsible for is our swim safety and drowning prevention program, and that's because we're saving lives. It was Memorial Day of 2014 when 3 children drowned in Tampa Bay area. That really woke me up to the depth of the problem that we have with youth drowning in our community. So I began looking into the issue and found out that the Children's Board and the YMCA had wonderful drowning prevention programs, but Hillsborough County did not offer one. So later that year, I initiated and brought to the board our swim safety program throughout Hillsborough County, where we partnered with organizations who had pools, because going way back to the Ed Radis days when he was our park director, the county did not want to get into the pool business, and I think that was a smart decision. But we partnered with Brandon Sports and Aquatics, which is now High Five, the City of Tampa, City of Temple Terrace, and the YMCA through their many locations. At the time, we felt it made the most sense to start the program with those who are at risk and needed it the most. And so staff recommended that we offer the program to our Hillsborough County's Head Start children. Phase 1 of the pilot launched in spring of 2015 with Hillsborough County Head Start children. Initially, the program included many, but not all of the Hillsborough County and Hillsborough County School District Head Start locations. And then I think it was either 2019 or 2020, we expanded the program to cover all of our Head Start locations and to also offer transportation, because we found that the biggest challenge or obstacle for the parents was transportation in order to access the program. As part of the program, the children are tested in 4 different categories: enter-exit ability, submerging skills, floating and propulsion, and safety recognition. The good news is it's been very successful. The first year we served 941 children, and last year it was nearly 1,800. The success rate, or what they term progression rate, has also increased from 73% to 95% last year. To date, nearly 16,000 children have learned how to swim, and we're offering it to all Head Start children. The bad news is more kids are drowning, and the problem might actually be growing. We simply need to reach more children if we are ever going to have a chance to eradicate this problem. Again, we're not the only organization that's working on this. The YMCA and Children's Board are doing a great job. In fact, to the state's credit, they're expanding their voucher program. But I believe our goal should be to provide swim lessons to as many children as possible. And to do that, we're going to need to expand it outside of Head Start, possibly to Boys and Girls Clubs or to Hillsborough County's summer program. So for today, and I'll pass the gavel to the Vice Chair, my motion is just to direct staff to report back with a recommendation on how we can expand the program, ideally with existing resources, since I know there are some transportation dollars that have not been utilized, but also include any costs that would be associated with expansion. I want to emphasize, I don't want to break the bank here. I know we're all unsure of pending property tax reform, so if additional funding is needed, bring back options in the $50,000 to $100,000 range. Once we receive that information, we can determine what is needed for a potential program expansion, and at that time we can decide if we want to consider it during this year's budget discussions later on in the summer. So for today, again, it's just to direct staff to come back on with a recommendation.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Chair Hagan, a second by Commissioner Wustel. I don't see anyone in the queue for further discussion.
Just ask real quick.
Oh, hi. Good morning.
Good morning. Rick Valdez, Director of Parks and Recreation. Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, for bringing this to our attention and giving us the opportunity to expand. It has been a very successful program. I've had the benefit of visiting the pools and seeing the kids get thrown in the water for the first time, and it's a great experience, actually. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, board members.
Thank you for your comments, and thank you, Chair Hagan, for your leadership on this program. It's very valuable to our community. Please record your vote for F2.
Motion carried 7-0.
Okay. Bonnie, I guess we have future issues.
Future discussion items?
Does anyone have an item they want to bring up? Commissioner Wustel?
I just want to make sure, I know Commissioner Hagan said it, but do we need to ask for a future item about, I didn't know there's a Supreme Court ruling on December 17th about PACE, or you're good, you don't need a future item?
We don't need a future item on that. We can brief individually as needed.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have something.
Oh, Commissioner Bowles?
Yeah, thank you. As we all know, Hillsborough County is growing really fast, and within the next 20 years, we certainly are projected to exceed 100,000 residents, raising our population to 2 million people. With that growth brings real and urgent needs for housing, especially affordable housing, and it demands thoughtful, locally driven solutions. As a state mandate that strips local governments of meaningful discretion and forces approvals without regarding for local conditions, and that's the Live Local Act, which was why I supported Commissioner Wustel in his motion to authorize the county attorney to challenge the Live Local on constitutional grounds, and I certainly support that effort moving forward. But along with that, there are some things that the state has provided and that not necessarily have some housing policy that is flawed. Senate Bill 1730, known as YIGB, I think deserves a closer look. Some of our surrounding counties have looked at that as well. And for those of you who don't know, the Yes in God's Backyard, YIGB, kind of a play on the NIMBY, allows religious institutions to develop housing on property and provided that at least 10% of those units are affordable. Critically, unlike the Live Local Act, which we all have a serious problem with, the YIGB preserves local authority by allowing local and elected officials to approve or deny those proposals. That distinction matters and is critically important. This also creates an opportunity to work collaboratively with faith-based institutions that are already deeply rooted in our neighborhoods and have come before our board repeatedly expressing their interest in being part of a responsible and community-centered solutions. Over the last 6 months, I've worked with statewide partners and internally to develop a GIS based tracking map of potentially available properties within the county. There's over 1,000 acres that we could probably be utilized for this process. This tool will be designed to help identify realistic opportunities, improve transparency, and ensure that any housing discussion is grounded in data and local location-specific analysis. Given that framework in that discussion, I'd like to request that staff bring back a report analyzing how YIGB may be or could be implemented here in Hillsborough County. The report should outline and identify the legal and policy considerations, any pros and cons, and clearly define any steps that would be required if the board chooses to move forward, and if possible, have that within 30 or 60 days.
Bonnie, you follow that?
Yes, but I don't know the complexity, so we'll work with the timetable.
Yeah, I understand, but the idea is to try to kind of launch this out of there. We've done a lot of work kind of identifying the properties around Hillsborough County specifically, and finding what areas we can do that on. And of course, it's about scale too, so.
Okay. All right, we are 13 minutes before our last item, which is time certain. It's not a public hearing, so I'm fairly certain we can waive our rules if the board's inclined to do that.
So moved.
Okay, I got a motion by Commissioner Wostel, second Commissioner Myers to waive our rules. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. It's item F3. This is an update by Commissioner Hagan on their Tampa Bay Rays ballpark discussions.
Thank you, Bonnie. Commissioners, as I've done with our various Rays ballpark efforts through the years, I wanted to provide an update on our current discussions with the team on their goals and plans for their forever home. After my comments, I'm going to ask Bonnie to make a few remarks, and then I'm going to place a motion on the floor. In an effort to be as transparent as practical, I thought it'd be helpful to enumerate the update for board members to have in advance rather than to simply verbally update the board. First of all, I want to thank the Rays ownership group for the approach and manner in which they have undertaken this effort since purchasing the team. How they have conducted themselves is 180 degrees different than what we experienced with all of our previous ballpark efforts with the previous ownership group. I think I can speak for our entire team to say that it is refreshing and very much appreciated. I think the update that was provided is an excellent description of the status of our discussions. I want to thank Bonnie, Julia, Greg, Eric Hart. They all are heavily involved in our meetings, and each of them weighed in on what was sent out. A couple points that I think are important and that I want to highlight. There have not been any formal negotiations up to this point. While significant progress has been made over the last couple months, we have a long way to go in order to get to a place where our board can have an honest debate and discussion on what a framework or agreement would look like. That being said, we do not have the luxury of time. Unlike the previous ownership group, the team has a sense of urgency in order to meet their 2029 goal. Candidly, their goal is quite ambitious, and we will see if the team is successful in their timeline. But again, after having worked with the previous group who never shared any sense of urgency, this ownership's timeline and how they hit the ground running is certainly refreshing. The document suggests an update will be provided to the board within 90 days. I anticipate a vote and discussion even sooner. The location is Hillsborough College. It's my understanding many locations were considered, including Ybor City, which candidly was my preferred location, as well as many others in the community. But Hillsborough College was the only location that met all of the team's needs and criteria, primarily sufficient land in order to realize their entire mixed-use development. As we heard from the governor yesterday, the governor is supportive of the team being in Tampa and the location being Hillsborough College. In fact, he said baseball belongs in Tampa Bay, baseball can succeed in Tampa Bay. Yesterday's event was critical. In all of the Rays ballpark's efforts through the years, this is the first time a governor has ever held a press conference and publicly supported not only a new ballpark, but Governor DeSantis also stated support for the location and partnership. I don't think that can be underscored enough. The team has floated the cost of the ballpark. It will be in the $2.3 billion range. I can tell you that number is not firm, and we will certainly make every effort on our part to value engineer the design. Understandably, most of the focus has been on the ballpark and cost. However, the ballpark is the driver for a generational mixed-use development that will be funded with an overall $8 to $10 billion direct investment by the team. The team has characterized the mixed-use development as the battery on steroids. And I don't know if anyone is not familiar with the Braves and their battery project, I would encourage you to do so. It's an amazing mixed-use development that is the model for future ballparks and stadiums that only occurred but for the ballpark. That project is on 74 acres, and the Rays project will be on approximately 120 acres. The battery has, my understanding, 2 million square feet. This project will have 6 to 8 million square feet. And lastly, the projections are for nearly 10 million unique visitors a year. That's more visitors than attend Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. Just think about that for a moment. I really believe that puts the depth, impact, and perspective of this project. As we have with our previous efforts, we are not taking the team's word on the economics and impact of the ballpark and ancillary development. We are independently verifying their projections by having AECOM perform an economic study similar to our previous ballpark efforts. I'm not going to go into detail, but the study includes a fiscal impact analysis, market demand for a ballpark, market demand for ancillary development, and key assumptions and market-driven absorption scenarios will be reviewed and studied. Now, where do we go from here? We're waiting on additional information from the team. Once we get that, we will begin to work on a financial framework. Assuming a framework can be made, negotiations will begin to see if a term sheet can be agreed upon. It's important to point out, there's no guarantee we'll even get that far. If a term sheet is ultimately agreed upon, Bonnie will present that to our board for consideration. City Council and TSA approvals will also be necessary. If approved, the formal contractual language we worked on, which is my understanding is a quite complex legal document. Now, in closing, to the team's credit, they have not threatened relocation if an agreement cannot be reached. However, and I've stated this for many months now, I honestly believe that if we cannot work out an agreement, the team will relocate, with Orlando being the likely place. And yesterday, Governor DeSantis and Commissioner Manfred both referenced Orlando as an extremely viable option. Now, that's not a threat, it's just reality. And I point that out because I think in some folks' minds, they feel the team will remain here no matter what. And that's simply inaccurate and frankly naive. Bonnie, any additional information you want to add on, and then I'm going to just place a motion on the floor.
Thank you. I just have a few quick comments. And as you noted, Chair Hagan, the opportunity to bring the raise to Hillsborough County is a tremendous one, and we're grateful to be in the position to evaluate such a proposal. This development will be truly transformational for the Drew Park area. I was at the city of Tampa over 20 years ago when that CRA was created, and we have seen truly limited growth in that tax base since that time. So it would be a big boost to the Drew Park area. But beyond the new ballpark, the project has the potential to deliver meaningful benefits to the college, job creation, increased tourist taxes and sales taxes, and overall economic activity. But at the same time, the work of assembling a financing structure will be challenging and complicated. It will require significant creativity and coordination with the City of Tampa, the Tampa Sports Authority, and the team. And Commissioner Hagan had some guiding principles that he outlined in his agenda item. So our goal is to bring forward a financing plan that is clear, responsible, and one that the board can clearly evaluate while delivering strong returns for the community. And we will keep you apprised of our activities along the way. Thank you.
Thanks, Bonnie. So for the purpose of today is just, I'm going to make a motion just for, to continue our discussions with the raise in an effort to determine if a framework and partnership can be agreed upon, and if so, staff is to bring that back to our board for consideration.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Chair Hagan, a second by Commissioner Myers. Commissioner Whistle, you recognized?
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I'm going to be supporting today's motion for a discussion, but I don't want that to be misinterpreted. My message today is more generally to the general public. On December the 14th of 2024, during a CIT workshop renewal, I strategically gave advice, which was then adopted, to remove the term community stadium from the ballot language for the renewal of the CIT. That was put forward. During the April 17th, 2024 public hearing for the CIT renewal, I put forward a motion to explicitly restrict the CIT funds from being prohibited for new professional sports facilities. That motion received a surprise second from Commissioner Kemp, who opposed me on absolutely everything, which turned into dialogue and an intervention by the county attorney. The county attorneys then gave legal advice that they felt like my motion that was going to receive bipartisan support was unnecessary because it would require a re-advertisement of the CIT that we notified the public. At that point, it was said over a half a dozen times by almost every county commissioner at the time, myself, including Commissioner Hagan, Commissioner Cohen, Commissioner Owens, and Commissioner Kemp and Commissioner Cepeda multiple times on the public record that the CIT was not to be used for new professional sports facilities. At that time, and I will quote for the general public, and they can contact my office for a copy of this at worstelj@hcfl.gov. We will provide you a copy of book 575 on page 81 of the clerk's records. And I quote, Attorney Beck explained the motion would require re-advertisement to amend the ballot language and suggested alternatives. Chair Hagan pondered if the language change was in the ballot or ordinance. Attorney Beck opined on the interlocal agreement, ordinance, and ballot language changes. Chair Hagan sought clarification on legal sufficiency regarding removal of community stadium from the ballot language. Attorney Beck noted the ballot language was written as public facilities, so the county would not own any future professional stadiums, end quote. That is the professional legal guidance that we sought from our county attorney that was offered to us to indicate that my motion put forward was unnecessary because the way that we had advertised it would protect the community, as all of the commissioners almost unanimously agreed on the public record at about the 2-hour and 12-minute mark of the Hillsborough County meetings posted publicly on YouTube. For your reference, we will also provide you that link if you are interested. I did that strategically. I will not be working to thwart any business from doing business in Hillsborough County. I have worked diligently just as early as Monday to progress a waste recycling company that had been halted for about 1.5 years from moving forward. My goal is to not intervene on the success of anyone doing business here. But what you will be faced with in the future regarding the CIT, which is my primary concern on this, because we promised everyone on the public record that the CIT numbers would be ineligible for the use of a new public facilities. We have not even began to collect that tax, and here is a suggestion that we already deceived the taxpayers that we made a promise to no less than 2 years ago. The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command, George Orwell. I insist that you request these copies and inform yourself on directly what was said and advertised in terms of the CIT. Those are my remarks about the eligibility of these funds. I will say to the comments of the suggestion put forward that underlined no transportation or public safety projects would be impacted, and that this would be to exceed the initial estimated annual growth. That is a fallacy and a farce. No one can make that promise. If you go back and look at the history of the sales taxes, they get stifled, they stall, and they dip, they go up, and they go down. Anyone making that statement is pretending to project the future. They have no guarantees that if this money is bonded, that there will be an exceeding of the initial estimated annual growth, which is irrelevant. That would absolutely potentially impact our ability to fund all of the many fire stations that we promised in our renewal and public safety elements for the sheriff. Lithia Pinecrest, the biggest bonding need of the CIT, Van Dyke. I will point out that the second motion I made on that meeting, if you watch it, is that I intentionally put a restriction for all individual entities that receive the CIT and their apportionment are restricted to 70% bonding. There are no guarantees that if we bond out a large sum and growth estimates fell, that we will then not be able to bond Lithia Pinecrest, Van Dyke, or any of the many fire stations or other public safety elements that we promised the voters on our intentional 15-year interlocal agreement. My intentions, again, are to not intervene on the success of this project going forward, but rather act on the best interests of the taxpayers of Hillsborough County. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Bowles, you're recognized.
Well said, Commissioner Whistle. I agree. I think that we should be advocating for certainly economic and development and ongoing revenues here and finding every opportunity to do so. So, I'm comfortable certainly with continuing conversations with the Rays and seeing somewhat value that comes with any available options that are brought before us, through staff and as we continue to look at that. That said, though, as I am becoming aware and as things are being brought before us of the possible funding components, I do have concerns with aspects of the framework, particularly the scale of dollars proposed for the new stadium construction and the potential reliance on CIT funds. And I think that was brought up very well by Commissioner Whistle. And as he pointed out, when voters approved the CIT, the discussion of language is primarily focused on maintaining existing facilities, strengthening public safety, and supporting core infrastructure. And that, I believe, intent still matters today. In 2024, Hillsborough firefighters were the tip of the spear in advocating for the renewal of the CIT, specifically due to the lagging needs in the identified problems and issues with having funding for fire stations and response times out there identified in their master plan. I also supported that renewal with the clear understanding that those CIT dollars remain focused on those priorities as well as the infrastructure and the transportation needs. And I take that responsibility seriously. So any use of those funds must be limited and I think clearly justified and structured so it does not shift resources away from fire rescue, law enforcement, transportation, or any other essential services that we're looking at to fund those needs. However, with that being said, I'm still very open to continue dialogue, reviewing any proposals as they evolve, because I do think that there may be a path to yes. I don't know what that is, and I have confidence that you'll bring all kinds of interesting ideas to the table. However, again, I think my participation at this time is that any CIT monies must be narrowly defined and consistent with the voter intent and not be a primary funding source for the new stadium construction. But as these discussions continue, this framework will certainly guide how I evaluate any proposal that comes before the board. And I think there's no doubt that continuing discussions make sense, but we still must respect the original purpose approved by the voters and remain focused on our core public needs. Thank you, Madam Chair, or Vice Chair.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Cohen, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chair. I first of all want to just start out by complimenting whoever wrote this three-page document that was attached to the agenda. Commissioner Hagan, it came from you, so I'll give you the compliment. The reason I say this is because this, I think, very succinctly and clearly states what the question is that's before us and what some of the answers are that we're going to be seeking. And I think that to get into the weeds of how exactly this would be funded today is probably a little premature. But on the other hand, I think it's very important that commissioners spoke out right from the very beginning to talk about the issues that exist related to the CIT. Administrator-wise, I remember at the beginning of this process, I had heard that you had laid out a couple of general principles that would guide these negotiations. I remember one of them had to do with protecting our credit rating. There were like three principles, I believe, that you articulated.
You're testing my memory. But yes, one definitely was the protection of our credit rating, both ours and the city of Tampa's. The other was that we did not want to take the development risk. We know that the development beyond the ballpark is really what is a big part of what we want to have in this community, but we can't take the risk that that occurs and when it occurs. So that was one of the main ones.
And there's been a lot of questions that have been raised about outside validation of the information that's presented to us by the team. You have people and organizations already in place that can assist the county with that type of independent analysis, correct?
Yes, that is ongoing.
Okay, and that's the AECOM study and other things like that, Skanska. You know, this saga has been going on for a long time, and all of us in our roles here are, I'm sure, approached by people all the time that give their opinion about what they think ought to be done related to the Rays relocation. And I have heard the full gamut. I've heard people that say not a dime of public money should be spent for a stadium. And then there are those that actually have said, you need to do this at any cost. We have to have the team here no matter what you have to do. And you know, as I've thought through this and sort of prepared for this moment to come, I have really rejected both of those views and come to the conclusion that there is an inherent worth to having the team here, and there is a real value that can be attached to what it means economically to this community in terms of job creation and hotel nights and all the other things that come with this type of a proposal. So as I was thinking through this, I went on my iPad and I did a search using artificial intelligence, and I asked the following question. I imagined a world where the Rays saga is settled and their location is settled, and that they're going to be in Florida somewhere. And in 2028, Major League Baseball is going to expand by 2 teams. They're going to have they've committed that once the Rays Stadium is settled, they're going to be pushing in 2028 for an expansion. And I asked the question, how much will the expansion fee be that Raleigh, Charlotte, Nashville, Salt Lake City, Montreal, Portland, Oregon, that all of these cities will compete for those 2 spots? How much will the expansion fee be that those communities are going to be willing to pay to Major League Baseball to have a team in their community? And the answer I got back was somewhere between $2 and $2.5 billion. Now, I don't know if that is a correct number or not. We can certainly be conservative and assume that maybe it'll be something a little bit less than that. But the fact that before they would even put a shovel in the ground, before they would even start the process of building a team, that somebody would look to make an outlay like that just to get Major League Baseball into their community says on its own that there is a value to these things. And so I think it would be very irresponsible today not to vote for this motion, because this motion gives us the opportunity to pursue an idea, pursue something that it's something that's not available to any other major market in this country right now, which is the chance to have a Major League Baseball team without paying a multi-billion-dollar expansion fee. So for that reason alone, I have enormous confidence that our county administrator and our team, the people in the city, the people at the Sports Authority, can enter into an earnest discussion bounded by the principles that were articulated, that we're going to go into this with our eyes open, transparently, so that the public can see exactly what we're doing, and we'll talk about it here and make the decision of whether or not it makes sense for this community. But to pull the plug on the endeavor now and not support this, to me, would be throwing away an opportunity that actually has value.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Myers, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. You know, I'm sitting here and listening to all the comments. And we as board members, we often say, let's direct staff, or can you bring this back to us in 90 days, et cetera. And this is what this is all about. We're discussing right now. The future, we have to wait until Bonnie brings back a proposal or a sheet that we can discuss. We're not there yet. This is us only to bring back information. But wow, why would we miss an opportunity not to have the Rays here in Tampa? I've always said, let the Rays stay in the region. And then one day, I was clarified that no, not the region, but Tampa Bay. No, Hillsborough County. And I said, okay, I'll support that. It's made real clear to me. Today, it's not all about CIT or what to come back. We've already talked about the various fire stations that we needed. We're building, we just had 2 groundbreakings coming up, and they're going to be opening soon. We are very aware of the need here in this county. As we think of today, of the raise here in Hillsborough County, when we look at what is going to be sustainable, what is going to be an economic engine here in our county in years to come, not tomorrow, but years to come, the jobs that will be created here in our county. And you know, if you didn't go or didn't look at the hockey game Sunday night in the freezing temperature, when we had 65,000 people at that game, our taxpayers, they would support. I want to be very clear, and those of you who are listening, we will support sports. If you think about it, back in the day with the Bucks, we supported the Bucks, and even they had a blackout from the taxpayers looking at the game. We were mad, but we were still supporting the Bucks. Why? The economic impact it brings. We love sports. And so I'm going to support this because this allows our stellar county administrator, Bonnie Wise, to bring us back a proposal. Understand, stellar. I have known Bonnie over 40 years. She has not changed. She is not going to throw the county and our taxpayers into something that this county cannot approve or handle. It comes with, Bonnie, I'm singling you out, Bonnie, because I have the confidence in you. I've known you over the years, from housing financing all to bonding. You have always stood strong for our county. It's not going to change today. Bonnie Wise is Bonnie Wise, and she has always looked at the best interests of our county. And so I think we have the votes to move this forward. If you're sitting around the table and know how to count the votes, we have the votes to move this forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. Commissioner Bowles?
I'll keep it brief. Stellar job, Bonnie. Absolutely. I agree with you. I adore you. Question, and it's related to something that Commissioner Cohen brought up. The paper that we have, essentially we have one water project, we got a $1.5 billion down there, right, that we're bonding. Possible bonding on this, let's say in the neighborhood of 800 million, possibly, that we could, with the options that if you looked at the realm of options available. Is that probably a fair number, something like that?
Yeah, so if I can just clarify, any water debt is a separate enterprise fund,
No, I
which has a
understand.
completely separate credit.
Okay.
Any bonding, we would do some bonding, but the city of Tampa would also do some bonding. So it depends on the revenue source, who would be the issuer of the debt.
Okay, so when we talk about our AAA rating, and because it's through an enterprise funds, it doesn't affect our AAA rating. It goes across the board for everything, but because it's an enterprise fund, it has no effect on any dollars that we may be bonding for this. Is that what you're saying?
So without getting into a whole discussion on rating agency analysis, the water system has its own rating.
Okay, that's fine.
However, I don't want to make it sound like what we do on the general fund may not roll over, because it talks about the county and some other things, but generally it does have its own separate rating.
And then with the thoughts that we're in negotiations with RJ in the Bucks and TSA and how we may be doing some maintenance or whatever we want to call it, improvements, and then it sounds like they may even be in the talks of how they can do a similar economic development around there. I've heard the number $1 billion there. If that's true, and we're kind of committed to doing that, not to that extent, but we're committed to bonding dollars for that. Not as and I know what we are, 80%, is it 75 or 80%? 70% of pay as we go, right? So how does that affect this? If we commit ourselves to, and again, if we use the number 800 million that we're able to bond, how does that affect all that? Is that kind of, are we overextending ourselves?
So these are all good questions. The 70% restriction is solely a restriction on CIT. But in any bonding, we always have what we call debt service coverage. We do the analysis. We want to ensure that there is more than adequate revenue to pay the debt service. But the restriction, the 70%, is solely on CIT. And there have been no negotiations with the Buccaneers at this time. However, we do know that the stadium is almost 30 years old, and we do know that improvements are important. We had that discussion when we talked about the arena. So we know that something will be forthcoming. We have been using the 4th cent tourist tax for that, and then we also have some CIT dollars set aside for the stadium as well. All things that will be considered in the analysis.
Okay, and again, my question is more along the lines of bonding and how it may affect our rating, and if we end up overextending ourselves in one and not being able to do something that we're committed to for another. All good discussion, just take under review. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments and discussion. As I recognize you, Chair Hagan, could you please restate your motion? It's a very important topic. I want to make sure that we've got it correct.
Okay, I'll do it at the end, if that's okay. Just a couple of comments to close. I was jotting down notes from all the board members. First of all, I want to thank everyone for your comments. Today's discussion did not need to happen today, but I wanted to be as transparent as possible and to not only the board, but to the public. And I wanted to hear the concerns and comments from board members, even if it's in opposition to the project. But I do appreciate board members' willingness to not oppose moving forward and to get additional information. The magnitude and impact of this transformative project warrants us getting that additional information. I truly understand the concerns of Commissioner Wostel and Bowles when it comes to CIT funding. But again, I want to be very honest and transparent. This agreement does not happen without CIT funding. It just doesn't. So I want to be honest about that. I don't want to play games with that. Commissioner Cohen, just like we're undertaking our conversations with the team, this is a team approach, and I want to be sure to point out that Bonnie, Julia, Greg, and Eric all weighed in on that document. I certainly did not do all the work. Commissioner Myers, bringing up blackouts, man, that was a long time ago. But, and you certainly putting the pressure on Bonnie. So Bonnie, good luck there. And lastly, Commissioner Bowles, we made it very clear to the Rays that we would not utilize any funding that we had set aside for the Bucks, or that we expect to use for the Bucks. The Bucks are a priority for us. We know that. Unfortunately, they have not shared their goals and plans. We kind of have an idea, we think, but we haven't even had those conversations yet. And the thought is, at this point, they're likely going to exercise their option to extend one more time. So those conversations are likely not imminent, but that was a priority, and they know that we're not going to take away anything from the Buccaneers to help in this effort. That was made very clear from the beginning. Bonnie, that's accurate, right? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so again, for the purpose of today, it's just to, I want to get it straight here, just to continue our discussions with the Rays in an effort to determine if a framework in partnership can be agreed upon. If so, staff is to bring that back to the board. Bonnie will present that to our board for consideration.
Thank you, sir. Seeing no one else in the queue, we have a motion on the floor by Chair Hagan, seconded by Commissioner Myers. Please record your vote on F3.
Motion carried 7-0.
Right, thank you, board members. Bonnie, we got one last item.
Yes, one last item, item E1. This is to receive a special appearance by Santiago Carrata, President and CEO of Visit Tampa Bay, to present their annual activity report.
Well, Santiago, timing is everything, and you certainly benefit from following that discussion. So, welcome. It's always great to see your smiling face.
Good morning, Honorable Chair, Honorable Vice Chair, Honorable Commissioners, esteemed, or should I say spectacular County Administrator and team, and those watching in the audience and at home. I'm going to do something a little out of character today. I want to thank the tourism and hospitality industry for what they do. And after this conversation, specifically our hotel industry, charged with working with us to raise that tourism development tax that makes so many great things like the game we saw on Sunday and many, many others that I could call out possible. So to our hotel industry, thank you for collecting the tax, paying it forward for us to do incredible things. I normally don't thank them, and shame on me for not doing that. And I think now is the time to really start having an appreciation for what they do moving forward. Hopefully the presentation will give you some cautious optimism going forward. I'm going to talk about fiscal year 25. I can speak about calendar year, but I'll start with fiscal year. Another record-breaking fiscal year as far as economic impact. We were #1 in occupancy in our comp set. If you look at 74%, 75%, that means 3/4 of your hotel rooms in Hillsborough County are occupied on average in a fiscal year. No small feat. Record-setting average daily rates, revenue per available rooms, and obviously then translating to $1.2 billion, another record in hotel taxable revenue, and obviously another record in bed tax collections at over $72 million, actually 11.5% better than fiscal year 24. And I said cautious optimism because although the industry is extremely resilient, it's also extremely fragile and subject to impacts from the economy, Mother Nature, geopolitical situations, and we grapple with all of those to make sure that Hillsborough County is successful. A lot of group business, 603 groups booked in fiscal year 25. You see there the economic impact. I have tons of data, can't get into it because I stand between you and lunch and I would never be guilty of having you be hungry. But if you really want to delve into a lot of the economic impact numbers, hotel numbers, you name it, we have it. Busy fiscal year working with third parties to make sure we are connecting with meeting planners, conventioneers, getting them here, teams all over the place. In fact, our trade show booths are extremely popular, in fact, winning prizes. Florida State Association of Executives, America Society of Association Executives, Merits, all of these groups help us to land business. And then obviously new groups. We've been very committed to the Divine Nine. You see us here with Kappa Alpha Psi, Sigma Gamma Rho, and the Asian American physicians industry. So again, landing some new profile, and then lots of data behind our campaigns. And this is our digital campaign. You can see in excess of $70 million in booking hotel revenue. These are targeted, digitally based, real numbers, not made up numbers. These are provided to us by Adara. Our out-of-state campaigns, key markets are those cold weather markets. Obviously, January through May, you see some of the marketing in the wild there. And what's really important is that we're seeing a shift in our visitors. We're seeing more affluent visitors because we've elevated the product. When you talk about the Michelin guide, you talk about the Edition, you talk about a Pendry under construction, new flights with Virgin, Aeromexico. We're seeing year-over-year growth in more affluent visitors and obviously more spending and diversified spending. Summer Drive campaigns last year ran from May through July. I can get into all the impressions and the uses and all that. Again, you can talk to me offline about all of that, but lots of our partners being highlighted in those drive markets, those folks that have a propensity to travel and visit with us from shorter distances. people love their animals, and we figured out people love their dogs. So we had a great campaign. Believe it or not, some dog influencers out there in social media have more followers than humans, and so we really wanted to drive visitors to the destination with their four-legged friends. And again, we partnered with Amazon. You're probably wondering, why would you partner with Amazon? People buy their pet food on Amazon. So a landing page on Amazon connecting directly to us, very, very important. And then our international campaigns where we need to really evaluate our investment. We're seeing flat UK, a down Germany, a down Canada, a down France. You can talk to our friends at the airport and they'll tell you what international inbound looks like. Again, geopolitical circumstances, financial circumstances, all of which we're on top of, but again, doing extremely well in Hillsborough County. Can't say the same for other places across the country. And then earned media means free media. And you see the price tag there, over $108,000 in free media. Every 12 hours, a new piece of coverage spotlighting our destination goes across major markets. 842 media placements, average of 2 stories per day. So we're out there making sure we're talking about the destination. And then don't want to get into all the social media numbers because they're huge. A lot of connection, a lot of interaction. People are now traveling with the use of local media. And then obviously we highlight what's important in our community, and that's the arts, and taking our artists across the world to inspire those travelers either in Germany or the Netherlands to jump on one of those direct flights and come visit us here in Tampa. As you know, we've been very involved with our restaurant industry, the release of our second cookbook and our second season of podcasts. We're going to have announcements with Michelin here shortly of any new restaurants, new additions. So we're very, very excited about that. And then an incentive program we did with Visit Florida was a takeover of the Wheel of Fortune. And I hope many of you watched it this past year where we were featured. We got a slot on the key on the wheel, and someone won a trip to Tampa, Florida, to Tampa, Hillsborough County, Florida. Great following. People love the Wheel of Fortune. So we were very, very proud to be one of the destinations during that week featured with Visit Florida. We released a coloring book for the young kids, and now talk real quickly about our new campaigns. When we experienced some weather disturbances a couple of years ago, our campaigns were time, right? Time to come, maybe time to visit. Then we shifted to ready. Now you're ready. We've always been ready. Come on down. And so you see some of the creative around that. But then we realized that perceptions of Hillsborough County and its 3 cities were not always on point with people that had never been here. And so we did some studies of before and after visitations, and you see the dramatic improvement on how people perceive Tampa, Hillsborough County. So again, using data, we developed a new campaign called Go and You'll Know. Go and you'll know how great we are and what makes us very different from others. So all over the place, you'll see catchy taglines like "We aim high, go and you'll know." Make salty new friends, go and you'll know. So everything around, get to Tampa, Hillsborough County and enjoy all these wonderful things. And here are more and more creatives that are all over the country and in those locations internationally where we have the wherewithal to market. So any questions? That's quick. There's a lot I could have talked about as far as fiscal year 25. I can tell you calendar year 25 came in a little bit under the last calendar year, and that's because we saw a huge bump in the winter months during the hurricane. It was horrific for our neighborhoods, horrific for our suburbs, but the hotel infrastructure was minimally impacted, and we were receiving displaced citizens, we were receiving crews, we were receiving the press, you name it. Everyone descended on Hillsborough County hotels during the months of October, November, December, January of the year where we were impacted. So obviously, believe it or not, 1.8% below that year is tremendous work, considering the huge artificial bump that we saw in the industry due to the hurricanes.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you.
Commissioner Rolstel?
Good job. Just real quick. So 4th cent is bucks, 5th cent is raise. You get the first 3 cents, right?
No, sir. So we have a formula. We get a portion of the first 3.
Okay.
Other dollars go for things. Then we have the 4th, which goes to the Bucks. The 5th goes to Benchmark International Arena. And the 6th, there are a number of organizations that also, by state statute, can receive funding from the 6th. Yes, sir.
But no one big allotter, and I know Commissioner Hagan's item is probably going to need part of 6 for the indoor facility. So how much of the first 3 cents do you get?
We get approximately 70% of the first 3.
Okay. You willing to shave 20% off that for the race?
Well, you know what? We're team players. We're already doing calculations based on the conversations of the impacts that might hit us with the 6 cent, and obviously with the first 3, if we have to capture some costs from the 6 and the first 3, because the first 3 is wide open, right? There are lots of uses. What I am going to caution, and this may be a bit off kilter here, is build it and they will come works in the movies. Build it, market, and they will come is reality. So I've been around Hillsborough County for a long time. Hillsborough County is a fantastic place, but about 13 years ago, we got serious about marketing this destination, and we've seen what's happened over the last 13 years. So build it and they will come. Beautiful Field of Dreams movie, lots of nice Hollywood taglines. Build it, market, and they will come. And that's based on my experiences doing this for almost 13 years.
I appreciate your honesty. Thank you, Santiago, as always.
Santiago, thank you very much for your excellent presentation, as always. I tell you, I wish I had your hotel and flight miles, because I know you're always on the road sharing what a special destination that we have here. And
and trying to be home in between. So
that's a
sometimes they're
challenge.
one-day
I know it's
trips,
a
and I'm
challenge,
back
but-
because I love Hillsborough County more than any other place in the world. So when I'm there, I don't care how beautiful it is, I can't wait to get back home.
I think you're the hardest working man in the tourism industry, but I do want to thank you and Jolynn and your entire team for all of your outstanding work. And I also want to I got to close with thanking Commissioner Wostel for his line of thinking. I know he's got a lot of concerns about the RAISE project, so I appreciate any ideas he has on where we can find the funding. So, but seriously though, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Don't see anyone else in the queue. So, Bonnie, anything else?
No, that's everything. Thank you.
Okay. So with that, we're adjourned.